Rami Khouri, he's a distinguished public policy fellow at the American University of Beirut. He joins us live from Boston. Rami, good to have you back with us. So how much of a blow, then, is this assassination to the leadership of Hamas? And does this represent, do you think, a significant escalation in the war?
It's a small blow. He's a very special guy. He's done a lot in Hamas's recent history. He's very highly respected. And he was very instrumental in particularly links between Hezbollah and Hamas and Iran. So he did some very important work which helped Hamas reach the stage where it has reached now. But Hamas and Hezbollah and groups like that are set up expecting that these guys are probably going to get killed. I mean, that's a strange thing to say, but they know that they face a fierce enemy. And they're determined, they're not afraid to die, but they have created something that they think will last in a long time, will last and have a big impact. And certainly he's inspired a lot of people. So this is an escalation, but not a big one. It's something that's expected.
Yeah, and one senior Israeli advisor says any member of Hamas involved in the October 7th attack is a legitimate target. But what sort of political and military calculations is Israel making here by carrying out this killing, and what message is it sending, do you think?
You know, I personally think that this is primarily a move by Netanyahu aimed at his domestic audiences and his many foes and the people who think that he's not doing a very good job at all in the war or politically. He's basically trying to show that, you know, we've had a success. We said we're going to kill all the Hamas leaders, and here we've killed one of them in Beirut. But in a way, he was an easy target sitting in an apartment in Beirut, which is a pretty open place and easy to surveil. So this is really designed for internal purposes, to show the Israelis, the army, the political class, the public, everybody, even the Americans who are critical of him to some extent, that he's getting the job done. But I don't think it's going to have a major impact the way things are going.
All right, we'll come to the Americans in a second, Rami, but the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah, you just mentioned them there, has promised a response to the assassination. Hezbollah, though, has been very careful to calibrate its responses to Israel so far on the border. How could this play out briefly? Because Hezbollah isn't likely to drag Lebanon into the conflict, is it?
Yes, there's been talk, pretty credible talk, that Netanyahu wanted to open a whole frontal war against Hezbollah in Lebanon about 2 months ago, and the Americans had to talk him out of it. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but it seems to have been pretty accurate. And you know, the Israelis would feel that they can deliver a hard blow against Hezbollah, and they feel they have enough air defenses and other things to protect themselves. But this is not something that is going to resolve any of the major issues here. If you get a full-out war between Hezbollah and Israel, you're going to have a lot of destruction, and both sides are eventually going to have a ceasefire, which is that they've done several times before, which Hamas has done as well with Israel.
Okay,
so this is
Just a final thought to you quickly, Rami. I mean, what does this killing mean then for the US administration? I mean, we know the White House has been pressuring Israel to change the conduct of the war, and Washington doesn't want to see a regional escalation. So is Israel, do you think, becoming a strategic burden for the US and not a strategic ally anymore?
Well, I don't know if it's ever been really an ally, and I don't know who's really calling the shots, the Americans or the Israelis. It's a very complex relationship. But certainly the situation has gotten a little bit more out of hand than the Americans expected, with Yemen involved and people in Iraq shooting at American bases, and Israel shooting at people in Syria, and Americans shooting at people all over the place. So it's getting out of hand, and it's really an indirect American-Iranian confrontation to a very small extent, but totally indirect, not really very serious in terms of warfare. Nobody wants a total war between all these parties, because they would all suffer and nothing would be resolved. So this is, I think the Americans don't have a problem with Israel killing Hamas leaders. They had a $5 million reward, I think, for Aruri's head. So this kind of thing is not a big problem for the Americans. They just want to see the situation in Gaza not get too much out of hand.
Rami Khouri, many thanks for your time and your analysis. Thank you, Rami.